everyone, my name is Ashley and Mars, and today we are doing a game review of Squirreled Away. In Squirreled Away, you get to live your best squirrel life, explore, gather, craft, and build incredible tree houses and acres of beautiful parkland. Scurry across lawns, up trees, and leap limb to limb solo, or up to 4 friends can play together in co-op. Endless summer days of adventure await. I'd like to start off with the art style of Squirreled Away. The art style is precious. The animation makes me nostalgic for 3D animation in the early 2000s, specifically like Over the Hedge. The colors are vibrant and nature inspired. The whole time I played this game, I felt very content and calm. The color palette really lends itself to easy dopamine creation. It truly has the feeling of the beginning of spring and into early summer. I created a little color palette in Canva to show you what I thought the predominant colors of this game were, and I thought it might give you a taste of the overall spring and summery vibes it brought. For transparency, the color palette of the game has no effect on my rating. Out of 10 possible stars, I will be giving Squirreled Away 10 stars in the art style. I personally think it is so cute. I can really immerse myself in it. And like I said, it feels like a childhood cartoon and it just makes me happy. So 10 stars it is. Moving on to character diversity and representation. All of the characters you'll meet in this game have their own personalities. Some have written in accents, different careers, or little animations that clue you into their personality. Patty the archaeologist is a nervous little squirrel asking for your help because bone shards she's wanting to dig up are being guarded by a ferocious bulldog. Daredevil, another squirrel, aptly named for his interests, needs help testing his cannon for his newest adrenaline-inducing stunt. Since we are in the park, there are appearances from many woodland creatures like the royal hedgehog, King Needlenose, and his spiky little subjects. Terry the turtle takes us from the first island to the main parklands. We are also introduced to Lotta Land, the local real estate selling bird. I love a good pun, and Lotta Land is the perfect name for a silly real estate agent, even if the homes she sells are located in the trees. I loved that Squirreled Away had very distinct characters with differing career paths. I would have loved for Squirreled Away to have more diversity and inclusion. I know that that might be a lot to ask for, especially in a game with the woodland creatures, but I love queer representation, racial representation, religious representations, and this didn't have any of it, which is totally fine. I just wish I could have also maybe seen like a non-binary character. That would have been easy to include in a woodland creature game. However, I still really enjoyed the amount of diversity and characterization, so I will be giving this 6 out of 10 stars to the atmosphere and world building of Squirreled Away. As previously stated, it feels like a light-hearted cartoon from my childhood. It's vibrant, happy, and dopamine-inducing. I lived for the shadows of the trees on the ground, the way the sunlight brightened the greens of the grass, and the way the different areas of the map had varying flowers. The little pitter-patter of the squirrel's feet was an adorable and immersive touch that I thoroughly enjoyed. The boing noise of bouncing on the umbrellas by the cafe are superb and perfectly cartoony, but still different from the bouncing sound from the mushrooms. If you enjoy a natural soundscape like a babbling stream, birds chirping, this game will satisfy. Now, there is not much in the way of world building in Squirreled Away. You're a squirrel in a park. It's always daylight. There are several sections of the map, and they all have their little differences. But you're not playing this game for its politics or commentary. You're delighting in this game for a peaceful break from day-to-day life and an opportunity to live as a squirrel. Would I have loved a little more depth to Squirrel Away? Sure. Maybe more character connections or relationships, some explanation as to why all of these woodland creatures trust me specifically to do their chores. Nonetheless, I'll give this section 8 out of 10 stars. Transitioning from world building, let's talk about the overall story in Squirreled Away. While playing this game live on stream, I did have the question of what's the story come up a couple of times. I had to explain there isn't a main storyline to Squirreled Away. Instead, there are mostly one-off little storylines when completing quests for other woodland creatures, like assisting Susie and Fran in finding a way to the cafe without touching the ground so customers have a safe and easy route to their new favorite dining spot. Since there's not an overarching storyline, which is an element I tend to prefer, I would have to give this section a 5 out of 10 stars. Some of y'all might say, if there's not an overarching storyline, how are you still giving this section a 5 out of 10? And to that I have to say, I'm a side quest girly, and that's all that Squirreled Away is. Although there may not be much in the way of a storyline in Squirreled Away, that doesn't mean the game is not original. Let's talk about Squirreled Away's originality. I've personally not stumbled upon another cozy game where the whole point is to just enjoy being a squirrel. There are plenty of elements beyond just running around, like finding caches to expand your inventory and prepare for winter, or solving puzzles to find golden acorns, of which there are 6 in each section of the map. Some are quite easy to solve, while others take the player a couple of attempts to figure out, like jumping on mushrooms around a stump without touching the ground, or activating stepping stones in a timely enough fashion. Each time your squirrel adds something new to their inventory, they have the opportunity to meditate upon the item. This allows them time and space to create ideas for crafting better tools, decor, or fun ways to change your appearance. This is another section I will reward heavily. And maybe that's because of my own limited experience in games like this, but this is ultimately my personal review, so I'm going to give it 10 stars out of 10 stars. Now let's discuss player freedom. After the first 2 maps, Sunrise Isle and the Forest Nook, the last 3 maps can be played in just about any order, and you can go back and forth between all sections of the map since the game is open world. Of course, in Sunrise Isle, it is required that you speak to all 4 squirrels before you can travel to the mainland parks on Terry the Turtle's back. Many games have character customization at the beginning of the game. The biggest customization at the beginning of Squirreled Away is naming your park. There is not an immediate character customization, but as you unlock new ideas through meditation, you will be able to craft dye for your fur. To craft items, you must have several items built. To build items, you will need to build up your tree house, and then you can decorate as much or as little as you'd like. These are all done by collecting items through the world and holding them in your inventory. I do enjoy that you can decorate as little as you would like because I'm not much of a builder, nor am I much of a decorator. Once you have a little squirrel house built, you can create a saw, a grinder, and a place to cook. These main items will be crucial for upgrading tools and completing a few quests. Although you need a treehouse, you can choose from multiple locations and whether you'd like to purchase it or not from Lotta Land. She will name her price in Harvestables. However, there are not any additional interactions with squirrels you've already encountered. They either offer you a quest or repeat their last line of dialogue thanking you for your help, and they do not offer you more than 1 quest. Typically, your only response options are a variation of yes and no to their requests. Despite the limited dialogue options, I'd give player freedom a 7 out of 10 since this game can be played in any order you'd prefer. But some features such as building must be done for progression and quest completion. Let's chat about the controls and mechanics of the game. As a quick disclaimer, I used an Xbox One controller, but the game is mouse and keyboard and other controller compatible, and soon they will be coming out with a Steam Deck compatible version. I found the game controls to be simple to understand. It prompts you to press specific buttons to interact with objects. Jumping and moving are pretty straightforward. Switching tools was quick and easy by using the bumpers. Building was a little confusing on the controller, but maybe it's easier and makes more sense on the mouse and keyboard. I loved that falling or jumping from a tree did not cause any fall damage for the player. I do wish that the game could give me an approximation of where I would land after jumping on a bouncy parasol or a mushroom or even just like leaping from a tree. My only complaint is at times while climbing on trees or objects in the world, I felt like the controls would flip on me. So it was really difficult to navigate squirreling around under a tree branch and trying to get back on top of it. And this also happened while I was attempting to complete the Daredevil canon request. Squirreled Away definitely has easy overall controls, and based on the recent patch notes from April 30th, 2025, custom button binding will be available soon. However, the topsy-turviness when under branches and environmental objects does deduct a few points for me. So overall, I would give controls and mechanics a 7 out of 10. Back to the atmosphere of the game, I'd like to talk about the sound design and music. As I mentioned earlier, I do love the immersive sounds of the squirrel's footfalls, the running river, and swimming sounds, and even just the occasional birds chirping. The soundtrack is very much a chill, lo-fi vibe and changes with the region of the map you're in. Greenleaf Shade has a peppy, almost Parisian sound when you're near the cafe, while some of the Forest Nook has a calming, low-key energy. The sound design and music are very fitting for the style of the game and the tone they're wanting. It's very relaxing. My only complaint, though, is that the music would occasionally cut out and then I'd be left by myself with my thoughts, which is never my personal favorite. I will give this area of the game 8 out of 10 stars. Something that you should know that might factor into your review or your interest in this game, but does not factor into my review is the price point. Squirreled Away is currently running at $14.99 US dollars in the Steam store. I love a one-time fee for a game, and at this point there are no in-app purchases for Squirreled Away, which ultimately makes this game relatively inexpensive for 5 or more hours of puzzling and adventure. Again, that might sway other people's opinions, but I'm going to push it to the side. Instead, let's focus on the replayability. According to IGN.com, the playtime of this game is roughly 5 hours, or about an hour per section of the map. I don't know that there's a huge incentive at this point for me to replay Squirreled Away as a solo game, especially since I've already found all of the golden acorns and I've solved the puzzles, completed the challenges. There's just no more surprise. However, I would be very interested to see what co-op play would look like with other players. I would also want to see how much faster I could complete the challenges and unlock golden acorn trials with other players. I will honestly give the replayability a 5 out of 10 stars. I could see myself returning after a couple of years and forgetting what I've done with the game. I'm highly burnt out on farming simulators and was delighted to find there was not a farming mechanic in sight. However, there are plenty of other cozy elements for my cozy gaming friends, like cooking, building, and even fishing. Without tallying up my overall star average and just going based on my gut, I would give the overall gameplay of Squirreled Away a 7 out of 10 stars. I wish there was a more defined plotline, deeper and immersive character interactions, but I'm satisfied with the game overall and could see myself recommending it to friends as a rainy day game or even a mood lifter. Something I typically take into consideration when buying a new game is other people's reviews of the game. Of course, I did not let that weigh into my review today, and I didn't purchase this game. My partner bought it for me and thought it would be really cute for me to play on stream. So, that being said, I thought it would be fun to read a couple of reviews off of Steam's page. Overall, Squirreled Away has a very positive rating on Steam, and lots of people have recommended it. This review from Zom Bunny is very cute and positive. They said, devs, please take all my money and continue creating more content so I can continue living out my whimsical squirrel life in this masterpiece. This is legit the best game I have played in an incredibly long time and such a treasure to accidentally stumble upon. I didn't want it to end. A more neutral review posted on May 4th, so just 2 days ago. A cute and adorable game for you and your bestest person. I wish there was more, but if you are looking for something small and not complicated, I do recommend go nuts. Lots of people have mentioned that it's very cozy and relaxing. There are a couple of negative reviews. One said that it always crashes and doesn't live up to their expectations. I never had an issue with the game crashing. I personally don't want to read too many of the not recommended reviews from Steam. If you would like to find them, please go to the link below and find it yourself. I will say, on all of the negative reviews that I saw, the developers did respond to any of the constructive criticism with very thoughtful responses. Now, before I get too far and give you the overall average of the stars, I wanted to let you know that I will give every indie game I review an automatic 10 bonus stars. This is because I think that we should all be supporting indie developers as long as they're decent people and producing games that are not hateful. This game is very creative, simple, fun, and it was created and developed by the Far Seas developer company. Their LinkedIn says, "We are a game development studio comprised of a passionate team of 6 dedicated developers. United by a shared vision, we are driven by our commitment to quality and our love for lighthearted, engaging gameplay." Another game they've recently published is Locomoto, a cozy game where it is placed on a train that I look forward to playing in the future. While on Squirreled Away's Steam store page, I did notice that the patch notes are very thorough, clear, and easy to read, and I loved one of the answers they had to a question. Someone asked if there would be a roadmap for any updates and game developments within Squirreled Away, and the devs were very honest in saying that they are a small group and they would like to not overpromise, so they have not provided a roadmap at this point. I personally really respect that kind of vulnerability, accountability, and responsibility when providing customers information about a product. After totaling up the average of stars that I gave each category and then adding in the bonus stars, which is essentially 1 bonus per category, I have given Squirreled Away 8.3 stars out of 10 stars. What do you think? Do you agree with this? Have you played Squirreled Away? Are you interested in playing Squirreled Away now? Give me all the opinions in the comments below. Like I said, I will have the link in the description for the Steam store. I will add the link for LinkedIn and even IGN if you would like to see the gameplay amount, since I did cite them. Also, let me know what you thought about this overview of a game review. I plan on doing this for all kinds of games in the future, probably ones that I'll end up playing on stream. I really want to play the Assassin's Creed games in order, and I plan on doing this little review for all of those games as well. They will not have the bonus stars of being an indie dev, since that is not an indie company. Thank you so much for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you next Wednesday. If you would like to catch this kind of game or any of my future games that I play live on Twitch, you can find the link below. I typically play on Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and Sundays. I look forward to seeing you around. Goodbye.